Hi, today we're going to show you how to set up your Microsoft SQL Server jobs in Skybot Scheduler. Centralizing the scheduling of SQL Server jobs and integrating them with your other IT processes saves time, reduces errors, and improves efficiency. An enterprise scheduler also provides additional functionality such as event-driven scheduling, cross-system reactivity, output distribution, and more. With Skybot Scheduler, it's easy to include SQL Server jobs in your production job streams. This video will show you how to set up SQL Server definitions and schedule existing SQL Server jobs using Skybot Scheduler. The first thing that we do need to check is to make sure that we do have an agent connection to your SQL Server job. So I do have one defined here that we'll go ahead and use. The next step that we need to do is create a SQL Server definition. So we'll come down here and go ahead and click on the Create SQL Server Definition button. I'll just give it a name of the SQL Server itself with a quick description, just demo. We can also put tags in here, so I'll put SQL and demo for some tags. And here we have to give a server instance. If you are not using a special server instance name on your SQL Server, then we'll just go ahead and leave this blank. If you do have a certain server instance name, we will go ahead and put that in here. We are currently not using one, so I'm going to leave that blank. Here we use whether we want to use trusted connection or if we're actually going to use Windows authentication. So it's going to be, if we use trusted connection, that will be our Windows authentication. If we just keep this blank and fill in our username here, that means we're going to be using the SQL Server authentication. It means somebody's actually been set up in the SQL Server to authenticate that way. I am actually going to use the trusted connection for this. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that. That gives us our SQL Server definition all set up. Now what we need to do is go create a job so that we can use the SQL Server definition we just created. So we'll go create a new job, and again, we'll just give this a quick test SQL name, demo description, and here we need to choose where this is actually going to run. So we need to choose the agent that the SQL Server is installed on. And I'll come down here and I'll also give this some tags so it's easy to find. And now we can schedule this job any way that we could normally schedule a Skybot job. Days of the week, date list, days of periods, intervals, and any of the other options that we do have. For this, I actually just am going to keep it as an unscheduled job. So we'll go down a little bit and come to the agent environment. Here I need to give a username and password that's able to authenticate with that SQL Server database using the Windows authentication because I did use the trusted connection. So I'll go ahead and put in my credentials here for the trusted connection. Put in my passwords. Quick working path. And that will get me signed on to the SQL Server. So now we can come down to the commands. And here on the Add button, if we click on the little expanded section here, you'll now see we have a SQL Server job that we can choose. Now here it's going to ask for the SQL Server definition, so we can go ahead and choose the one that we had set up earlier. And now we need to pick the job name. This is the job name that's currently set up within the SQL Server. So if I come over here to my Server Management Studio, these are the list of jobs here that I can go ahead and run via Skybot. So I do have one called Dennis out there, so we'll go ahead and choose that one. And you can choose whether you want verbose logging or not. Good to troubleshoot later if you need it. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and we'll save it. And I'll create a job log for this so we can take a look at it, and we can go ahead and save that. So our job now has been created, and if I go ahead and run this, it will run the job out on the SQL Server. There's what the command looks like within Skybot. We'll do a run job now. We can take a look at the history of this job. And you see it's currently running out there. And as we're letting that finish running, now that we do have the job defined in SQL Server, we can now add other things to it. Let's say I need this job to only run when my other job called test has finished. So I can go ahead and set that up and say, run job test. So now my job test SQL will only run when job called test has completed. So we can go ahead and click OK to that and save it. So now whenever my test job runs, it will automatically run my test SQL job for me. Go back and we'll take a look at the history of the job. See, it's completed on there, and we can take a quick look at the job log. And here you can see that we went ahead and we're authenticating against the SQL Server. And here, gave the job definition, gave us the run date, whether it succeeded, so we're good out there. Gave us the time and date stamp of when the job was out there created, what time we actually ran it, and any other kind of information that you need. So that is how we can go ahead and easily set up and run your Microsoft SQL Server definitions using Skybot Scheduler.